Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about. After the news you need to know about, we run you through the fan Q&A where we answer Fenceman's questions. First thing we're going to bring up, because I think it's the least important news story to talk about when it comes to the Dolphins, is the OTA's orange jersey tracker. They do this every year. They also do it in training camp, but I feel like for OTAs it doesn't matter. Because it's the least football stuff that you could possibly do when it comes to this, and I don't know, I just always feel like it's skewed, especially when linemen win it, when they're in t-shirts and shorts, like, or even linebackers. But if you're, that's just my opinion. But if you are interested, who's been the most valuable player for each OTA practice? For OTA practice 1, it was David Long Jr., again, a linebacker. Didn't really, doesn't have to really do his job in those kind of practices as much. OTA 2, Kader Kohu, which is nice. He's a defensive back. It's going to be interesting to see how he fits into Anthony Weaver's defense, because he had one of the worst seasons I've ever seen a Dolphins corner have last year. OTA number 3 most valuable player was Austin Jackson. Hopefully he can continue his high-level play. OTA number 4 most valuable player, fourth practice, Javon Holland, who is one of the best players on the team, and that's all and it's going to be interesting to see how he fits into Anthony Weaver's defense and how he uses him. I wouldn't be surprised if he might play in the box a little bit more than he normally has, or we'll see how they use him, because he's really had to be he's never been free. And this Ravens defense, if you think about all the great safeties that have played in it, they really like to free them up to do what they want. So it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of figure out a role like that for him, because again, throughout Holland's career, he's really had to cover for people that are lesser than, whether it's injuries or whatever it is. He's had to shade to a side. They've never really let him be free to be a playmaker. So it'll be interesting to see if they can do that with the additions of Jordan Poyer. Maybe that'll make it a little bit easier for Holland to be freed up. So it'll be interesting to see how Weaver uses him. Most valuable practice number 5 of OTAs, most valuable player, was Liam Eichenberg. Again, this is a player that hopefully can step up. We need him to step up. He was benched. He's become more of a role player guy, more of a kind of a swing player in a way. He can start at 3 different positions. He's played some tackle. So very versatile player, and hopefully he can maybe climb his way up to become a solid starter in the NFL, because that would be nice. OTA 6, most valuable player was Duke Riley, one of the worst Dolphins last year. Him and Kader were, especially, I think, to be honest, in my opinion, I would say watching or remembering the last 3 games of the season for the Dolphins, worst players were probably Kohu, Duke Riley, Chase Claypool is definitely up there, Jeff Wilson. Who else do I want to put out there? I already said Kader Kohu, I think. Deshaun Elliott. To name, those were the worst. And Duke Riley I cannot express how bad Duke Riley was at the end of the season. And honestly, all you got to do is put on any Buffalo tape that he's ever played in and just watch him get massacred. So again, OTA is not great. Doesn't really matter. I honestly don't believe half the stuff I even read in the off season, unless it's conditioning stuff or someone's not showing up for practice, or maybe there's like some locker room issues, something that's credible. When it comes to opinions of players and what they've seen on the field, very shaky information. If we've learned anything as fans over the years when it comes to beat writers, very subjective to what is a good performance and what isn't. Dude, there was something else I wanted to bring up. What was it? Oh, in terms of OTAs, I'm sure everybody's seen the clips of Tua throwing a touchdown to Taj Washington Very good rookie class. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of the first round pick, but the rest of the class was really good. I really, really liked it. So I'm excited to see them play because they all are very talented in their own ways. And Taj is another guy that I didn't necessarily love, but has like dimensions of things that can make an impact, whether it's, I think, mainly going to be special teams. But if he gets on, started on the right foot like this and starts making plays in practice, then that's a good thing. So I'm just thought I would bring that up. So in terms of news, I'm sure everybody's really excited to hear this because it was sort of up in the air. This first news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. Dolphins, Jalen Waddle agree on an extension. Waddle and the Dolphins are in agreement on a 3-year deal worth a 3-year deal worth $84 million. This deal, which has been on Miami Dolphins' radar for a bit, will come in with a whopping $76 million guaranteed with Waddle's option exercise, which will tie the 2021 first rounder to the Dolphins through the 2028 season. So he's extended through the 2028 season. Sorry, guys. It just sounds weird. 2028. Which almost the entire $76 million of it are guaranteed. I don't have much else to say other than obviously he's now one of the highest paid receivers in the league. Great guaranteed money too, which he deserves. And he's dealt with some injuries, but they haven't been like devastating. Like every year that he's played in, he's contributed a sizable amount of production. So I think the guaranteed money is fine. What was I gonna say? I'm just happy this deal got done. They have a lot. The Dolphins have a lot going on. Everybody knows that. They have a lot of young players that are coming up at the same time, unfortunately, when it comes to contracts. And it's nice that Waddle was signed through the 2028 season. Which this deal, I think, is a pretty good deal. Obviously, looking back on it, it won't be as bad. And, yeah, it's just nice to have a great Dolphin around for longer than his rookie deal, which has been an issue for this franchise for the last 20 years, is retaining great players, developing them, drafting great players, developing them, and keeping them long term. That has not happened pretty much at all, other than like very few names that you could put in that room when it comes to the Dolphins. So it's nice that Waddle will be put in that room, and we get to see more of Jalen Waddle in a Dolphins uniform. I think no doubt, that's awesome. Now, the repercussions of this aren't bad. It's just going to be interesting to see, and maybe this connects to the whole Mike McDaniel saying that they're not going to be aggressive in free agency or even do anything in free agency for the rest of the offseason. They're not interested in it. We talked about that last week, which I know, and Dalton Reisner is now a Viking, so he's off the board. So clearly they're focusing on in-house talent, and they were able to get this deal done. Who's next? Whether it's Tua, Javon Holland's basically been confirmed. He's not getting extended anytime soon. Jalen Phillips, who I don't think will be extended this year either. So it really comes down to Tua. And I think they're planning out, they're planning out what they're going to do in the future, like how they're going to handle the cap situation. So great deal. Like I said, very rare if you're a Dolphins fan that this happens. And it's the best team that we've had in that amount of time. There's no team in the 2010s that even comes close to this team in terms of talent and even drafting and young talent. So it's nice to keep great players and be able to celebrate them when it comes to being a Dolphins fan. This is an interesting thing. This is very layered. This next news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. Tyreek Hill aiming for a new contract. I don't know where he said this. Again, this comes from Pro Football Rumors. The Dolphins have already acted early with Jalen Waddle making the younger of their two 1,000-yard wide receivers the fourth highest paid pass catcher, already employing the number 3 player on that list. The Dolphins look to have a bit of an issue on their hands. Tyreek Hill has used the Miami portion of his career to cement his status as a surefire Hall of Famer, separating himself from Patrick Mahomes and thriving on his own. The historically elite speed merchant has posted back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons. While Waddle is younger, he still has work to do to be the Dolphins' clear-cut number 1. Don't know, I should have pre-read that because that had nothing to do with anything other than stating stuff that we already know. I don't know where Tyreek said this. I think it was just a report, which they're not referencing in this article, that Tyreek Hill's looking for an extension. We really don't know. I mean, he has said that he wants to retire a Dolphin, but Tyreek Hill's weird. He says a lot of things. I'm sorry I butchered that article. I apologize. But I was kind of trying to read through it fast because I was like, where's the references here? So I don't know where. I do remember reading this in a separate article. Anyway, I remember reading that in a separate article that Tyreek Hill. So there's been some speculation of whether this is going to be Hill's last year in Miami. I don't really know if anybody knows that. In my personal opinion, as a Dolphins fan, I would love for him to be extended. I would love for him to finish his career as a Dolphin. So any way we can make that happen, I'm all for it. Granted, we just talked about how they have so many other players on their team that are that need contract extensions, that are major pieces to the team. The good news is they've done a good, like Austin Jackson's under contract, Waddle's under contract, but they still have a bunch of players like Tua Phillips and Holland are all major pieces to this team, and so we'll see what they decide to do. I hope this isn't Reek's last year as a Dolphin. That would be very heartbreaking, seeing him play in a different uniform. And I hope they can find some way to get a deal done. But it's interesting to see how much they value having, and are they okay with having paying 2 receivers that caliber of money. And if Tyreek Hill gets an extension, then you're looking at even more money allocated to those 2. And before, Waddle was on a rookie deal, and it made the Waddle thing easier, or the Tyreek Hill acquisition easier. Even Tua being on a rookie deal, it made that acquisition easier. Now we don't live in that world, so it'll be interesting to see how they where they value these resources, and I think it really comes down to what does Tua's contract look like, because that's going to affect the rest of the team. So I don't know. This is more of a wait and see thing. If I was Chris Grier, I would, and I think everybody's agreement with this, let Tua play out his 5th-year option. Don't want to make any drastic decisions when it comes to what makes the team great. In case you have to move on from Tua, you still have that foundation there to just plug in a quarterback, whoever you get, to have success. So, and I'm a firm believer that Tua will have a really good season. But like everybody's brought up, we need to see that. And when it comes to beating the good teams in the playoffs and December football. So, and it's a cliche, but it's true. I mean, as much as I want to sit here and deny that, I can't. I think there are things that we forget about some of those games last year. I don't think it was all on Tua. He did not play good. I'm not saying he didn't, but there was more issues that it wasn't just him. The Vic Fangio thing was a disaster. The injuries were too much to overcome. And offensively, the depth and the whole thing that Omar Kelly brings up of like, oh, everybody was hurt on offense is true. Like if you go back and watch, you can see how much that season took a toll on the explosiveness of the team with all the injuries. So, it wasn't just him. But anyway, I'm rambling on about the team. The point is, I hope that we extend Tyreek Hill and he finishes his career as a Dolphin. Even though the cap situation, it might not be realistic to think that way. I hope that they can somehow figure it out. because he's such a beloved player and one of the best Dolphins statistically in a very short amount of time. And I hope he can put like a 5-year body of work together and finish his career as a Dolphin, as a Miami Dolphin. 5-year body of work. So it'd be nice because then that would cement him, and hopefully we can even get even more winning accolades. Who knows where Tyreek Hill would rank among the great Dolphins of all time. But regardless, if it's only 3 years, it's been a phenomenal 3 years. It's been sucks seeing him in a different uniform. I've already attached to this man at this level. I love him to death, but he is crazy. I think we all know that with off the field stuff and some of the stuff he says, but he's one of the best and most electric players in the NFL. So it's nice to see him in a Dolphins uniform. So that's it. A lot of cap situations, a lot of salary cap issues. What are they going to do with Javon Holland, with Jalen Phillips, with Tua? What are they going to do? Who knows? Does Connor Williams come back? I really hope that one of these interior linemen can turn a new leaf. I really hope Connor Williams comes back off of the knee injury, because that would be such a clutch addition, and they can move him to guard and have Brewer at center, because I just feel like that's the only thing that I'm concerned about, honestly, is that interior. I just wish it was a little bit better, and I think it matters when we talk about something like matching up with some of these better teams in the AFC. I think that matters. I mean, I think if you look at the games that we lost, I think we just lost the trench war a lot of the time. And it made us even more limited because, we can't rely on our explosive athletes anymore because they're all injured. Now it's like, okay, can we be a physical team? Can we win in the trenches? No, we couldn't do that. So it would be nice to add one more interior guy. We still have Isaiah Wynn on the team. I think him, Brewer, and maybe a Connor Williams would be a great interior, like a vast improvement. And maybe someone like a Liam Eichenberg or the guy that we got from Philadelphia, whose name is escaping me, can step up and kind of fill those shoes, because I really think that's just the one piece we're missing on offense. Because other than that, I think we fixed a lot of the issues that I had with the third receiver problem, and I think even the tight end issue is completely fixed with Jonnu Smith, who I'm a big fan of. So I hope somehow Santa Claus can deliver us an interior lineman in some way. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.